There has been one region that I expected to get a lot more press, but this might be the year that it finally becomes more mainstream. So with that, let's get into it. So even though a lot of us probably know nothing about it, the UK has had a lot of disc golf events, but very few players are actually able to really make it on the tour, let alone even coming to the US. But just a couple days ago, the British Disc Golf Association, the PDGA, actually announced they have a full tour lineup for the year of 2024. And while this is definitely not rivaling the US or really any of the Nordic countries, this is still a great sign of potential growth for British players and hopefully inevitably becoming a mainstream part of the disc golf scene in the US. Because I did some research and wow, there is hardly anyone from the UK that is representing any part of the tour substantially besides one FPO player that I will get into. But as far as MPO, the only player that I could find in the top 200 in the world rankings is Noah Smithson, who I am sure you have not heard of. I am a pretty diehard disc golfer and I have never heard of this guy, with really the only notable finish being 13th in a European tour event. And then on FPO, probably a name that you have heard of somewhat, but still not super relevant, Rachel Turton from St. Andrews. And apart from a couple Euro Tour wins, she had a 12th place finish at Beaver State and a 13th place at Cascade Challenge. And her most notable finish was 10th at Portland Open. So this is really the only presence that the British has on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So seeing how there's a full lineup for 2024, and obviously these aren't like amazing A-tier events, but they are sponsored by MVP. There's a decent amount of backing. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of players doing it, but so often when we think about European players, it's like Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Austria. There's never been really any presence from the UK, so this might be the start of the trend for the UK to finally get some presence, because if you think about it, it is kind of shocking that basically all the Nordic states total up to be about 20 million people, and the UK has 67 million people. So the numbers are definitely there for people to get into disc golf in that region. It just has yet to happen. So seeing it finally evolve, I think we will inevitably see more of a presence on the mainstream tour. And to me, even though it's a little bit strange to have the British Disc Golf Association that's separate from the PDGA, but they also work hand in hand with each other, is just a little bit odd. But seeing how the PDGA is hoping to make a worldwide tour, this is probably the thing that will kickstart it to finally become more mainstream in that area, and we will finally get a lot more players representing the UK in the next coming years. But it definitely seems a little bit strange that the highest tier event currently on the PDGA website is the British National Championship, which is only a B tier. And maybe that's just because there's not enough funding to make it like a true A tier event with added cash. I'm not totally sure, but that definitely seems a little bit strange. But also one small reference point that is definitely important to point out is my home state of Kansas. It has 350 disc golf courses, whereas the UK, which is I think bigger than Kansas, only has 77. So there's clearly not a lot of courses and a lot of potential to get good in the area, but I'm assuming that if players are willing to grind and they're willing to fly to the Nordic states and participate in the Euro Tour, then they'll probably be able to make a name for themselves. It is just a matter of time, I think. But with that said, do you guys care about people in the UK becoming part of the Pro Tour, or do you really just not care? Ultimately, I think more people will enhance the sport inevitably, so I think it's ultimately a good thing, but I'd love to know what you guys think. Be sure to subscribe for more. Wild Runs, signing out. Peace. My name's Richard from the UK, and I'm going to make a name for myself on the British Disc Golf Network. Utterly smashing.